Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're going to talk about the fact that sometimes the biggest block standing between you and the next level of business that you are trying to call in, the next level of expression, the next level of growth, the next level of success that you're trying to create, is who you think you're not. People talk all the time about who do you think you are? But really, it's important to look at who do you think you are not? Who we think we're not frequently flies under the radar. And it seems like personality. It seems like aptitude. It seems inevitable. It seems written in stone. So when things come up that are suggestions about what you should do in your business to create the results that you want, they will sneak out in things that sound like, I just don't really like in-person networking. I just don't really like being in crowds. I never wanted to be a boss. I'm just not the kind of person who likes being in charge of things. I'm just bad with money. I'm just intimidated by organization. I'm just really bad at sticking to a schedule. I just don't like selling a lot. I'm just not the kind of person who's interested in sending emails. I just never want to be the kind of person who blah, 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 blah. Who you think you are not. Because what happens when the type of person who has the thing you want does those things? What happens when the 7-figure CEO version of you needs to be comfortable leading and you currently think you're not a person who likes being in charge of stuff? What happens when that the 7-figure CEO version of you is a person who feels capable of navigating challenging conversations and letting people go when they're not the right fit because it's for the good of the company? And the current version of you identifies as like, I'm just not the kind of person who ever gives up on the people in my life, no matter what. What happens when the 7-figure CEO version of you is the version of you who unabashedly, unapologetically sells your offers and is highly visible and is a go-to expert in your field? And the current version of you is, I'm just not the kind of person who likes talking about myself on the internet. Those two things may be in direct opposition. And frequently, who we think we're not is defiant, oppositional, teenagery energy that may be things we like about ourselves. They may be things that we've decided at some point in our life, we went, I'm not that kind of person. I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't identify with that. I think that's bad and gross. I just don't want to. And that may have served you for a long time. It may have helped you find friends. It may have helped you feel agency in a time where you didn't feel a lot of agency and you felt like everyone was trying to tell you who you had to be successful. And you sure showed them. And you may reach a juncture where it's not that that way of being is bad. It might not be wrong. It might not be something that you disagree with. It might be something you like about yourself. And it may be in direct opposition to who you need to be and how you need to behave in order to have the thing you most want. What happens then? This is the crux of identity work. And this is why I believe identity work is so crucial in our business, in our coaching. When I'm talking about the inner game of entrepreneurship, this is the stuff I'm talking about. If everyone had absolutely no objection to taking any of the actions required to being successful, everyone would be doing the things. The reasons we're not doing it are frequently deep and personal and hidden to us because they feel like they're part of us and like they're unavoidable, or like they are not things we want to entertain giving up or changing. I am not immune to this. I go through this somewhat regularly because continually upgrading requires looking at what is the operating system that I was running before and how was it working for me and what kind of results was it getting? And now I want to go over here and do and experience this other thing. And I feel myself pushing against it and saying, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to go over there. I don't like doing things that way. I am not immune to this. None of us are immune to this. And when we can notice that we are in oppositional energy, when we can notice that we are defining ourselves by what we think we're not, by who we think we're not, by how we think we are not, then we have an opportunity for identity level transformation. We have an opportunity for growth. Because what if I could become that kind of person? What if I was the kind of person who was great with personal finance? What if I was the kind of person who was comfortable making large investments? What if I was the kind of person who felt great about moving large amounts of money around? What if I was the kind of person who felt completely comfortable being seen as an expert? What if I was the kind of person who felt great about showing up anywhere at any time and talking to anyone about my work? What if I did like in-person networking? What if I was really good with time boundaries? What if I did feel capable of having hard conversations? What if I was both kind and boundaried and put the good of the business first? What if I was that kind of person? What would happen? What outcome would I get? And how can I collapse the space between who I currently believe I'm not and the potential of who I could be? A thing that I say all the time is that there's no such thing as who we are. There's no such thing as that's just who I am. That's just how I am. That's not a thing. There's how we've been and there's what we've done. And everything else is up for negotiation. We can change. You can go from being the person who thinks that you're just not good at maintaining boundaries around your time and becoming the kind of person who's like, I live and die by my schedule. Not because someone told me I have to, not because the 4 a.m. club people told me that this is the best way to be productive and make $1 million, but because I currently am at a place in my life where I realize that the more boundaried I am with my schedule, the more space I have to do more things that are meaningful to me. And that is important to me. That's interesting. There are compelling reasons for me to make this change, right? Being open to considering that all of the ways that you define yourself oppositionally, all of the things you currently say you are not, could potentially be negotiated in order to get you different outcomes in your life and your business. Strongly worth considering. Very much worth checking out. This is deep work. It is nuanced. It is sometimes tricky to catch. It is frequently invisible to us when we're just like living our life and going through it because we've thought these things about who we are and how we are for so long that they just feel like fact and they feel immovable. Opening ourselves to, okay, that's how I've been. Could I be different? Do I want to be different? Is the payoff available for making these changes worth it to me? What would it mean for me in my life? if I were to allow myself to evolve, not in a way that makes who I've been or how I've been bad or wrong, but just in a way that allows me to continually evolve into the kind of person who gets the results that I say that I want. This is why I do identity work with my clients. This is why I say that any strategy that you're trying to implement in your business, it's only as good as the CEO implementing the strategy. It runs through your body. It runs through your emotions, your nervous system, your thought processes. You're the one who has to actually execute on it. And almost always the gap between what we know we need to do to be successful and what we're doing is that hidden stuff under the surface. And so today I place upon your altar, are you currently letting who you think you are not be the determiner of what's available for you in your life and in your business? And is that something you're open to changing? And if so, what do you plan to do to change it? And as always, if you're not sure and you're like, whoa, that's the kind of work I know I need to do, but I don't know how to do it on my own, holla at your girl. I would love to work with you. I have one-on-one coaching spots available. There's space in Powerhouse Mastermind. You could hop in there. You could just book a call with me and talk about the best place to go, and we can work it out together. I would be happy to support you in this kind of work if it's not the kind of thing you think you can do on your own. If it is the kind of thing you think you can do on your own, fantastic, do it. And shoot me an email. Tell me about what's coming up for you. Tell me the ahas that you're having about this concept. Talk to me on Instagram, Intuitive Edge Coaching or Inner Game of Entrepreneurship Pod on Instagram, and holler at me and let me know if this was a big eye opener for you. I would love to hear your insights and your takeaways. Thank you for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.